Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Simple Home and Hearth kitchen. And you can check me out on my YouTube channel, Simple Home and Hearth, or you can check out my website, simplehomeandhearth.com. I'm Esther, and today I am going to attempt my first try at making corncob jelly. We were gifted by some beautiful neighbors some corn from their garden, and we've already eaten the corn, and I have some cobs left. They're over here in this bag. And I have the water that I cooked and steamed the corn in. I'm using that, and I'm going to be cutting up the cobs, putting it back in the water, bringing it to a slow boil. I'm going to boil it for probably about 2 hours. So I'm not going to make you watch 2 hours of boiling corn cobs. But all of the research that I've done online, they say that, corn cob jelly is the vegan substitute for honey. Other people say it doesn't really taste like honey. And I've seen pictures and I've talked to different people that it's just a generic, very light, generic jelly flavor. I don't want that. So what I'm doing today is I'm going to boil these corn cobs on low and slow, baby, for 2 hours to get that really rich corn flavor. And to make it taste a little bit more like honey, I have a trick up my sleeve. Let me show you. All right. This is what I am using to flavor my corn cob jelly to make it taste more like honey. This is Lorian Oil's Super Strength Honey flavor. This is what's used to flavor hard candies. If you're into candy making, it's a honey flavored oil. And so that's what I'm going to be using. I got this on Amazon for like $6.68 or something like that. Should last me a long time. That's going to be my trick. We'll see how it turns out. This is my first attempt, so join me on my journey and we'll be right back. Okay, the corn cobs have been boiling low and slow for a couple of hours. And it smells really strongly of corn. Go figure. But what you want to do is take the corn cobs out. I put them in my compost bucket that I always have handy on my kitchen shelf or kitchen counter. This particular recipe calls for 12 corn cobs. I only had 8. They were pretty large. And so therefore, that's why I boiled them really low and slow for a couple of hours to make sure that all of the flavor seeped out of the cob as possible, because I only had 8 instead of 12. Some people only boil their corn cobs for about an hour or so. Almost done here. Okay, I have a saucepan here with a mesh sifter, strainer, whatever you call it. And this is a cotton flour sack towel. And that's going to get every little tiny bit of morsel left over in the corn water out of the water itself. So we'll have a pure, clean, corn flavored water. Here we go. There we go. Pure corn cob water. And you need 3.5 cups of this corn cob water. Okay, I've measured out 3.5 cups of corn water. I have my jars, lids, and rings in the water bath, sterilizing and getting hot. And I've turned the heat on pretty high, to medium high actually. I am using Ball's Real Fruit Pectin for low to no sugar needed. I use this in almost all of my jelly recipes because I don't like a lot of sugar in my recipes, so I always use this. Very rarely do I ever use the regular pectin. But 3 tablespoons of the jarred low sugar pectin equals one of those packets that you buy. So this calls for 1 packet of fruit pectin. I'm using 3 tablespoons to be equal to 1 packet that you buy in a box. And we're going to get that to boiling. And what I did to the corn water, before I put the pectin in it, I added my honey flavoring, just a few drops, and it smells right now just like honey. The corn cob flavor smell, along with that honey flavor, seasoning flavoring, the oil, it smells just like honey. We'll have to see how it tastes when it's all done. But I'm going to let this come to a rolling boil and boil it for 1 minute. I'll add my 3 cups of sugar. I could break it down to 1.5 cups, but I'm going to go ahead and use, well, I might not use a full 3 cups. I might use 2.5 cups of sugar because I don't like it real sweet. So 2.5 cups of sugar, 3 cups, your preference, and boil that for another minute and the jelly should be done. So this pectin is great. It dissolves really quickly and smooth. Anyway, I'll get to this pectin to boiling, and I'll bring the video back online in just a minute. Okay, so the corn cob water and the pectin have been boiling for about a minute. I'm going to add 2.5 cups of sugar. That's 2 cups. And that's another 1/2 cup. That's all the sugar I'm going to add. Now, I've seen some recipes online call for lemon juice, but I'm not going to use lemon juice because if you want this jelly to taste kind of like honey, to be a vegan version of honey, you don't want to add lemon juice. It'll change the flavor of it. Plus, you're going to process it and make sure the jars are sealed, and you don't really need that lemon juice to add any more acidity to it than what's already in here, which isn't much. I'm using a whisk to break up that sugar. It can clump when you first pour it in. And the recipe I'm following is from a well-known website, and they don't call for lemon juice, so I'm not going to add it. Alright, you can already see it starting to thicken up, and we'll let this come to a boil, and we'll let it boil for a minute. I am going to have to strain the foam that's going to come up to the top. Alright, we'll let this boil and I'll be right back. Okay, this has been boiling for a little bit, and it's boiling slowly, and it has not gotten that foam, not much of that foam stuff on top. You can see very little bit. And I think it's because the honey oil flavoring that I put in it keeps it from foaming up. The oils in that flavoring keep it from foaming up. So that's a good thing. I like it. And it's already getting really, really thick on my spoon. See if you can see that. Yeah, it is ready to put in the jars. I'm going to turn the heat off, and let's jar it up. You want about a 1/2 inch of head space on the jars. I've already taken my lids out and put them on a lid from another pan. I don't want to boil these rings and lids. I just wanted them to get really hot and the rubber supple. But I am using a reused jar with a lug lid, and I did allow that to boil. And if you're reusing commercial jars with lug lids, you want to boil them for about 5 minutes. So just let them boil with your jars. I'm not sure how many jars this will fill. I'm assuming maybe 3. So I'll take 3 of them out. I'll leave these other jars to go ahead and sit in here and boil along with everything else, because I'll probably take the corn water that I have left over and make another batch, because it smells wonderful. It smells just like honey. Amazing. Amazing. Put it over there. All right, let's get this. Okay, so there was a film. Yeah, we don't want that. Okay, I'm back. I had to find my skimmer. There we go. There we go. Taking that foam out. And that's it. This is already starting to thicken, so I would have worked much faster than this. All right, let's fill these jars. Yeah, this is already starting to gel up very quickly. Very, very quickly. I'm gonna use it just a 1/4 inch of head space. Yeah, that's good. That took almost all of it. Look at that. Only 2 pint-sized jars. Oh, you know what? I forgot to wipe the rim. Yeah, that needed to be wiped because there was some jelly on the edge that would not have sealed. So, learn from my mistakes. All right, I'm gonna set these 2 in the water bath to steam up and boil up for 10 minutes. All right, so I'm gonna set my timer for 10 minutes and I'll take them out and I will show you what they look like. And there it is after processing 10 minutes, and we're going to let it sit and cool for several hours, and I'll be enjoying this. Now, some recipes call for yellow food coloring, but if you want your jams and jellies to be as natural as possible, just skip the food coloring. I don't think it needs it. It's a very pale yellow when it's hot, and it's all natural. The only thing that's in there is corn cob water, sugar, pectin, and of course I did put in some honey flavoring just to see if it tastes more like honey. So anyway, there it is, corn cob jelly. Don't waste anything. Enjoy. Okay, so I finished processing the second batch of jelly, and you can see it's gelled up quite a bit in my ladle here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a taste and see if it really does taste like honey. Okay, here's my ladle with all of the corn cob jelly honey goo on it, and I'm going to taste it, and it's very coagulated. Turned out perfect. Sweet and unctuous. And it really does taste like honey jelly. Amazing. I'm going to have a little more. Oh yeah, that's the ticket. If you want your corncob jelly to taste like honey, get some honey flavoring oil.